Today we're talking about a new game, a Disney trading card game called Lorcana. Hello and welcome to Nelson All Over Cards. Today we are talking about a game that I have not been able to stop playing recently, and that is Lorcana. This is a Disney trading card game that released at Gen Con of 2023 this year and is retail release like right around the time this video is posting, and then like kind of big box release towards September. Now this is a game that I have not really covered on the channel before. Typically I'm looking at a lot of the cooperative card games, but I wanted to dive in and talk a little bit about Lorcana because I do enjoy the competitive games as well. So with that being said, if this is something that you are interested in learning more about, I do plan on having more Lorcana content on the channel. Go ahead and subscribe to make sure that you don't miss it. I've been playing a lot of Lorcana. So I've been playing at Gen Con. I waited in the line at Gen Con for an obscene amount of time. So on Thursday morning was the day that they started selling Lorcana. I got there around 8 o'clock and I stayed in line until I checked out at 12:30 p.m. And so that was chaos. It was insanity. All that to be said, I didn't get the starter decks. They sold out of all the starter decks before I was able to check out, so they did not clip my badge. They were doing like a 1 per show type sale, so they didn't clip my badge, so I got to get back in line on Saturday at 6:45 a.m. I got the starter decks and another booster box. So this is a trading card game, meaning that they are randomized booster packs, and I do not like it. I love opening the packs. Opening the packs brings such joy. It brings me back to like my childhood opening Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and I did a little bit of Magic, but Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh were the ones that I really focused on, and like from that nostalgia, it's great. But coming from an LCG where you know the cards, you get all the cards, and it's not a chase the card type system, LCGs are just so nice, and I miss it from the trading card game. Okay, that's all I will say about that. But I've been playing a lot at Gen Con. There's also a couple ways to play online, so I've gotten probably around 50 games in at this point, and I felt like that was a good sample size to kind of talk about it. So this is wave 1. This is the ground floor of the trading card game, meaning that there's not a ton going on. There's about 204 unique cards. There are 6 different ink colors, and each one of these ink colors kind of plays in its own way, and they have their own feel. I'm not going to say that they're completely unique because they haven't been able to differentiate a amethyst from a amber in totality, right? They feel different. Amethyst kind of does a lot with different songs and different abilities, where Amber is a lot of healing, but they all kind of have the same idea. You're racing towards these victory points. We're going to talk briefly about the game and how it plays. So if we're going to look at an anatomy of a character card, which I probably will have on the screen at this point, every card in the top left-hand corner has a cost. That is how much ink you need to pay for it. Now, if it has a little flourish around it, that means that it is able to be inked. So similar to like card games like Magic the Gathering, where you have lands that you play on the table, and then you exhaust those cards in order to pay for other cards in your hand. This is how this game plays, except any card can be played as a quote land. So, or almost any card, I should say. Any card with the ink icon can be played face down in your inkwell, and then can be exerted in order to pay a cost in a future turn. So on turn 1, you can play a card that costs 1. On turn 2, you can play a card that costs 2 or 2 1s because you have 2 inks at that point. You probably want to be inking every single turn. So they have the cost, they have a strength value, which is how much damage they deal when they challenge another character, willpower, which is effectively their health, and then their lore value. One of the things that I really appreciate about this game is it's not a kill my opponent type game. It's a race to 20 victory points, or 20 lore. And so the little diamonds on every single card, if you exert them, that's how much lore you get. The first one to 20 wins the game. It's a pretty easy game to learn. At the start of your turn, you ready all of your exerted cards, you check to see if there's any ongoing effects, and then you draw a card, and then you can take actions in any order and as many times as you want, except for inking. So you can ink 1 card a turn. Other than that, you can do whatever you want in any order, and that's what I think where a lot of the complexity of this game lies. Now, when I say complexity, it is not a complex game. It's a very, very basic TCG. So if you're coming from something like Magic the Gathering, you may not find a whole slew of satisfaction in this game, but it is such a great baseline for newer players and players like me who I'm not deep into Magic. I've played like maybe 50 times in my life. That being said, I've been having a lot of fun with Lorcana because of the sequencing. And that's kind of where it all comes together for me, is because you can take them in any order. There's not a main phase, there's not a main phase 2, there's not a stack, there's no reaction spells in this game. It is all, I'm going to play this card, and then they do have, quote, summoning sickness. They cannot be exerted on their first turn, to use a magic term. But you play a card, you can quest with that card by exerting it, turning it sideways, getting that lore. You can challenge an exerted character. Now, this is also a cool thing. So if a character is not exerted, it cannot be attacked. Damage is done simultaneously. Damage is persistent. Once you reach your maximum damage threshold of your willpower, you're banished into the discard pile. It's a pretty simple system that allows for a lot of flexibility, and some of my favorite parts that have come out of this are two main keywords. And we don't have a ton of keywords in this wave 1, but my favorite keyword, no, we're going to save that one for later. My second favorite keyword is a keyword called sing. And so in Lorcana, there are character cards, there are action cards, and there are item cards. Character cards are the ones out there doing everything, questing and attacking. Item cards modify the game, and then event cards are just one-time powerful benefits that you can play. Now, there are song cards as well, which is a subset of event cards. These are cards that you can sing. So Friends on the Other Side, as an example, it costs 3, or you can instead exert a character that costs 3 or more to play this card for free, and you get to draw 2 cards. Cards in a card game is good. So you have flexibility in if you want to save that ink to put another character onto the table, and then you can maybe exert a character to play an action card for free. And that sequencing and that decision making there is a lot of fun. What I've found with the song cards is it requires you to kind of think multiple turns ahead. Because if I want to play Friends on the Other Side, I can play a level 3 card that can sing it, but it cannot be exerted that same turn. So now, are those +2 cards worth it to me to not have this level 3 card out this turn, and I can draw the cards and have the card advantage on this turn? Or do I pass, I play that card, next turn I can sing it, and I save my ink? It kind of depends on your deck as well as the deck you're playing. And I have found in the games that I've played that understanding what the other colors can do means a lot in this game, which I think probably is the same for any competitive card game, but probably just not something I've looked too much into when I have been playing those competitive card games. Finally, my favorite part is the shift mechanic, and I did not think I would enjoy this until I started playing the game. So shift is a way to get your higher cost cards out for less ink cost. So let's take Hades as an example. This Hades costs 8 ink. It is uninkable. It's a difficult card to play. However, it has the keyword shift 6. That means that if you have a character named Hades on the table, there's no unique rule in this game, by the way, but if you have Hades on the table, you can, instead of paying 8, you can pay 6 on top of your 4 cost Hades to play it onto the table. If you do this, it does not have the, quote, summoning sickness. It can then exert, it can do major damage or quest for a significant amount. If you play a Stitch and you get this huge questing, I just lost a game because I thought I had it in the bag. They were at 17 lore, I was at 18 lore. I had it in the next game. They only had a Stitch out that could quest for 1. They shifted a Stitch on top, which was able to quest for 3, and I lost the game. And like those moments, even though I lost, I was like, that's a cool moment. So the shift mechanism is really cool. You can also shift multi-aspects. So if you have a Emerald Tinkerbell, you can shift a Steel Tinkerbell on top of her. Decks are made up of 2 different inks, and so finding the synergies of the shift, finding the synergies between the 2 colors has been very satisfying to me. My favorite ink right now is probably blue, which is the Sapphire. It has a lot of fun ways to get extra cards into your inkwell, and I've been really enjoying pairing that with like Emerald or Steel, which has some like really high cost characters, and being able to just kind of like trying to accelerate my way to 6 to 8 ink in my inkwell so I can be playing some of these really crazy characters and come out swinging. It's a good game. Wave 1 is pretty basic. It is a very nice intro to TCGs. It has an excellent foundation. The way that they have built the game says that, to me, in wave 3, 4, 5, we're going to start seeing some really cool ways where the mechanics are going to start interacting with each other, and some of these cards are going to get pretty creative pretty quickly. They have not, as far as I can tell, locked themselves out of anything insane, and I think we will see this game just continue to grow in complexity and fun. That being said, you may not like this game it's a pretty simple game. So if you are looking for something that is super crunchy, super meaty, this may not be the game for you at this time. The other concern that I have with this game is availability. Now, I waited in line, I got my booster boxes, and it took me 10, 12 hours of Gen Con. I know people are going for this retail release and lining up, trying to get product on that release day. Product is being sold for an absurd amount of cost. I'm hoping that once we get this into our retail outlets and some of the bigger box stores, and that makes me really sad to say because I want you to support your FLGS if you can. Unfortunately, I don't know if allocation will allow that to be done, but I really want this game to survive, and I think the allocation could kill it. So if prices are continuing to stay up where booster boxes are being sold for $300 to $350 or single cards are being sold for so much, I am a little concerned with that. The other concern, kind of on the same wavelength that I have, except kind of looking at it at a different angle, it's a Disney trading card game. It is Disney licensed, and Disney collectors are prevalent. Disney collectors are awesome, and I think that it's a double-edged sword, right? Because I want the Disney players to also play the game because that's going to help support the organized play, the sanctioned events, and we're going to continue to get interesting and cool mechanical gameplay. But also, they're the ones that are probably going to be buying a lot of the game and keeping the game afloat. And so I'm hoping that we have enough product to get into players' hands so that it's not all in collectors' hands, and then we can have a great game going forward. I am really happy with it. I keep opening up boosters. I have a ton of cards. I am slightly addicted at this point, but I'm having so much fun with it. I hope that you all enjoy it. If you do, I hope that this video either helped kind of show a little bit about the game and if it is a game for you. But regardless, let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on Lorcana. Are you a trading card game player? Is this a game that you have had your eye on? Let me know, and I'd love to chat about it because I am really, really happy with it. So stay safe if you are going to try and get some of the product. Hopefully you can get some. If you have some, let's play. I will see you around. Peace.